Oh, OnePlus. Why is it that every time that you set a date, Apple comes over and just screws it all up? Because yes, we have a possible leak for Apple's event along with a new roster of products that we could be getting. But then there's the thing. OnePlus just announced the event for their OnePlus 9 series, and I wonder if it's still happening on that date. And we could also be getting that AR headset from Apple way sooner than we thought, even if I don't know how many people really care. I'm Jaime Rivera, and if you started your Monday like I did, you would be by coffee mug number 4. This is Pocketnow Daily. The official news today, as always, begin with deals, and since Apple is once again taking over the spotlight, these are deals that are going to start with that, as that some of these products are going to get refreshed very soon. For example, the 12.9-inch iPad Pro is currently $100 off on Amazon, leaving the 256GB of storage variant for $999. Then the 11-inch variant with similar specs is $50 off, leaving it for $849. If you're looking for a Samsung tablet, the Tab S7 Plus is also $220 off, leaving the 512GB variant for $809. The Google Pixel 4a 5G is $50 off, leaving it at $449, but you can also get the Pixel 4 for $300 off its original price, leaving it at $499. The Apple Watch Series 5 is $300 off, leaving a lot of the higher end variants for like $449 or other price tags, and then the Galaxy Buds Live are also $90 off, leaving them for $79. In addition, we also have the AirPods Pro, which are $50 off, leaving them at $199. Then we have more deals on Samsung and Vizio TVs, more Apple Watches, and other devices in the description. Let's keep talking official news, and we actually have even more of that today, but let me actually begin with MWC. This, along with IFA, is, one of my 2 favorite shows every year. I think it has a lot to do with going to Europe, but we know how the pandemic just messed everything up last year. Well, according to GSMA's latest press release, they are planning an in-person Mobile World Congress in Barcelona this year, but of course there's a ton of protocol going on here. To quote the press release, the health and safety plans by the committed community have been approved by the local health authorities and will cover everyone from staff to visitors to exhibitors and locals. Apparently, these protocols include mandatory negative COVID-19 testing with frequent testing rules, contact tracing via a specific application created by the event, improved air conditioning, and touchless environment to exhibit products. That said, they are still aiming to host 45 to 50,000 people, and if everything is done right, I'm glad to see that everything is getting back to normal to a certain degree. We'll see how this evolves with future statements, but if they're going to have an event, you can bet that I'm going to try to go. It's just, I'd like to see how you can go to a trade show and do a hands-on of a product you're not able to touch. That's going to be kind of weird. Now, before we keep going with official news, let's move on to Apple for a quick second. But with this source, it's pretty much almost official, I would say. I seriously struggle with covering topics like AR and VR, given that they've proven to not really drive people crazy just yet, but it comes from Ming Chi Kuo and Apple, and let's just say that this is a market that needs kind of a revamp. Kuo has been on fire ever since the calendar hit March, and now he is, again, talking about the future of AR VR for Apple. According to his report, we should expect Apple's new headset as soon as next year. In the report, he details that Apple's roadmap for VR products is rather interesting. This is apparently going to be a helmet-type headset with AR and VR capabilities, followed by AR glasses in 2025, and then AR contact lenses somewhere in 2030 or 2040. Now, going back to what we could expect next year, this AR headset is expected to weigh around 100 to 200 grams, features Sony micro OLED display technology inside, and apparently it's going to be an independent computing power and storage device, meaning it doesn't depend on your iPhone or any other Apple device. Kuo also mentions the fact that Cupertino has been focusing a lot on AR, but he thinks that hardware specifications on this product will provide an immersive experience that is significantly better than what we currently get with other companies in their VR. Apparently, it'll also go for a similar price tag to the iPhone, like at around $1,000. So I'm really curious to see what Apple plans to do to revamp this market, because I have to say it does need a revamp. But all right, let's get back to those official news with OnePlus says yes, it is March 8th, so the company finally had their big announcement, which is another date. This morning, the company announced that the OnePlus 9 series will be launched on March 23rd with the caption, "Your best shot." The event will happen at 10 a.m. Eastern. Even if they didn't go into detail, we're expecting 3 phones around this time. According to the leaks, we should be getting a OnePlus 9R, a 9, and a 9 Pro. We'll be focusing more on the 9 Pro. Just to give you a little quick recap, we are expecting a 6.55-inch Quad HD Plus display running at 120 Hz with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 5G, around 8 to 12 gigs of RAM, a 4500 mAh battery, and a quad camera setup at the back, which has two 48 megapixel sensors, including a Sony IMX789 Custom, which is the biggest sensor on a OnePlus phone ever. Now, speaking of that camera, one of the major stories at the moment is that Hasselblad branding is on it, and I highly recommend you watch Michael Fisher's video on how partnerships and licensing work. I mean, that being said, OnePlus mentions that they are heavily investing in bringing a vastly improved camera system, especially with this Hasselblad partnership, which will continuously develop over the next 3 years. They plan to use software improvements, including color tuning and sensor calibration, natural color calibration, and even Hasselblad Pro mode, including a new interface for this mode and more modularity. That's going to be rather interesting. Anyways, we're just about a week away from this, so let's just see what we get. We hope it's great, and we hope it's not just branding, because this is not the first time we see a Hasselblad branding on a smartphone, and that did not go well. But finally, for the hottest news today, let's move on to Apple, but let's stick to March 23rd. I mean, remember back in 2019 when OnePlus announced the date for their 7 Series event in New York, and then Apple did the same thing for the exact date, and OnePlus moved its event to a day later. And actually, this has happened to OnePlus at least 3 times already. Well, earlier this morning, and 5 a.m. to be exact, we got a new tweet from John Prosser where he simply said 23. A couple of minutes later, he gave us some updated information from a reliable source where he says that the products that we should expect from Cupertino include AirTags, an iPad Pro or iPad Pros, AirPods, and an Apple TV, which I wasn't expecting. So far, we've been hearing rumors of all these products for the longest time, like for example, AirTags since back in 2019, the new iPad Pros, which will finally bring mini LED displays, the redesigned AirPods, and the Apple TV, which is, I mean, that's long overdue. However, it looks like there's another product we might be getting. Apple just discontinued their iMac Pros, which was launched back in 2017, meaning if you're interested in getting one, now is your time, as the store says that they're only selling them until supply lasts, and they've removed the whole build-to-order configurations from the site, leaving you with a single $5,000 variant for you to choose from. Now, the reason we're saying we might have another product is because, well, a week or 2 ago, Prosser also shared images of the new Mac Pro Mini and the redesigned iMacs, though he didn't give us a launch date. So even if these don't come in March, that iMac refresh is eventually happening now that the iMac Pro is gone. And it also hints to some pretty powerful Apple silicon chips coming. But anyways, in today's question, let us know, 1, what do you think about the leaks of what we're getting at this March event? And number 2, do you think that OnePlus should move their date? Because in my case, I don't know, back in the day it made sense because we couldn't physically cover so many events on the same day, especially when you have Apple in the spotlight. So it made sense back then, but right now that everything's virtual, I think we should just leave them the way things are, but that's just me. Leave us a comment down below, we'd love to know your opinion. Friends, again, if you want to get the news earlier, follow us on Pocketnow.com and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. You can also follow us on social medias. Our extended coverage happens on Instagram. Follow me on my personal handles to see me. I'm gonna prepare more coffee. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.